Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to see you today. Today we are talking about communication basics with a focus on acknowledgement. Why is acknowledging communication important? We'll talk about that. We'll get into what does acknowledging communication mean and how do you acknowledge communication. Cool. Now that we've got a structure, and we just make structures just so that we can break them, because what better use to do with structures than to break them? I mean, why make rules if they're not to be broken? I'm just kidding around. This is all a joke. This is all entertainment for you guys. You see the lengths that I go out to entertain you guys and give you some ideas? I know. Crazy. Anyways, in all seriousness, acknowledging communication. So why is it important? Acknowledging communication is important because it enables the flow of information from one person to another, or one being to another. Depends how far out you want to go with this. But in all seriousness, it's understanding, it's being able to communicate, obviously, an idea across space and time. And thus, in doing so, acknowledgement and communication enables that message to be clear or to be checked. In other words, to make sure that it's the proper message is being sent and that it has been accepted. Without this, if someone doesn't accept their communication, well, then it matters not if what the person says next, the communicator says next to the communicatee, or the person speaking to the person who's listening. In other words, it's really, really important for the person who's speaking to get a sense, in order to flow with their mind and communicate with them appropriately, to get a sense that the person who's listening has heard them, because sometimes people just can't hear you because you're talking too low, there's too much going on around you, and so on and so forth. But also that they're understanding, and it shows that they're in the same place in terms of the flow of mental thought. One of the best things about conversations that I've realized is that I'm in the same mental flow with someone else, and they feel it. We're like riding this wave of communication together, and I've found that it feels best when you're meeting each other exactly where they are. So if they're slightly distracted, you're slightly distracted, but even just a touch more. If they're super focused, you're super focused, even maybe just a touch more. If they're kind of like lounging and hanging out, you're super lounging and hanging out just a touch more. So anyways, I'm digressing. I'm speaking about these stories that don't even matter for the topic today. But to get back to acknowledgement, so what is acknowledgement in communication? It's making sure that as the listener, I give some form of the message that you're sending is being received. So it could be like, got it. That's a great one. Someone sends you a text, you just say, got it. Unless you have read receipts on, which I do. I highly recommend people do read receipts because it makes communication a little bit easier. That's a separate story. But the idea being that, or someone texts you, say, like, oh, text me when you get home. Got it. Or just got home. That type of thing. It's the acknowledgement that's really, really important. And if you think about it, a lot of poor communication, and this is something I'm taking from my teacher, Arash Zapardi Bazar, AZD, is that the lack of acknowledgement in communication is oftentimes what will separate relationships or create rifts in relationships. Or, in other words, someone was looking for an acknowledgement in their communication, and it was not acknowledged. In other words, the speaker may have asked the listener to, they may have expressed it like, oh man, this amazing thing just happened to me. I just sold a huge client. And if the listener does not pay attention or is not on that same wavelength with them, you can imagine it'll be frustrating for whomever the speaker is, because they're not getting acknowledgement from whomever the listener is. And so it's a way of saying that I'm with you. I'm exactly where you are. I'm observing with where you are. We're together, on the same communication wave. Lastly, how do you acknowledge in your communication? Well, there's a couple things. I mean, we've talked about this briefly. We've glimpsed it. The idea of saying got it or eye contact is a really great way of acknowledging a head nod. It could be something as simple as, yes, understood, got it, continue, I'm hungry for more, as Vince Kelvin would say. But the idea being that, like, you said something, acknowledged. It's, yes, this person said something. that's awesome. And obviously responding in a way that's appropriate to whatever they have said. Let go of your own garbage of the way you think things should be and such. Don't judge the person. They have their own lifestyle. They have their own way of being and living. Rather, use whatever they throw at you as an opportunity to play around with and see how you can wrangle that idea. So with that, guys, this is Communication Basics video. Acknowledge your communication, or acknowledgement. What does this mean? If you guys liked this, like, comment, subscribe, share. And that's all I got for you guys right now. Keep up, thrive, and stay sexy.